Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday morning, so whatever day I get to post it, at least you know this is filmed, videoed on Wednesday morning. And I'm just putting some paper out here on the table because the newspaper is very busy, and I wanted to show you what I've been up to in this week. So, as I promised, I needed to do something to do with the crafts. Hang on, one more sheet. See, not planned, not prepared for, just on the hop. Wow, there you go. Some of the crafts. Now the lighting in here is not very good. Let me see if I can put on the not much better. Not much better at all. Let's just get one of these little fellas over here. Right, so there we go. So I've been doing this week so far, painting these little wizard come Santa hanging ornaments, and this one was done a little while ago, as was that one. Was last month I finished that one, and this one at the same time. Now this one, these little heads, they've been popular. This was out of a piece of pear wood, I think, and it was a knobbly bit, so we just worked with what there was, and the whittler whittled his face, and there was a nice piece out there. She used that for the nose, and I didn't want to cover it up. You can't really see it in this light, but there are lots of wood grains and speltering in there, and I didn't want to lose that, so I just did a wash over it. And at the end there, that little dot thing you can see, that is the core of the little log that we use. It's the middle of it, usually the softest part of it, but that just shows you that this was done out of a piece of log. And it kept him natural looking within the theme of the natural wood, and put some ivy on him, kept him fairly docile looking, a bit gormless actually. But there you go. So he will have I think it's because I did mark it on the bottom, but I know this was made last year, but I've painted it this year. So that's how long sometimes it takes to get around to doing these things, because they take so long. And same as these, that one will take about the same amount of time to paint. So to make them from scratch, these ones from a square block of wood like that, well, not square, square 1 by 1 lengths, it will take up to an hour to make one, to whittle one, and then at least another 2 to 3 hours depending on the piece and the detail to paint it. So you're looking at almost 4 hours work in each piece, in each item. And we use acrylic paints. And this is my source of light, a desk lamp, and this window. When the sun comes over in the afternoon, it bathes this area, so it's easier to paint in the afternoon. Other than that, it's just the light in the room. So it's not very good. My eyes have got worse since painting these things, because I do lots of really tiny details with fine designs to work with. So the fine lines and the tiny things do take its toll on my eyes, but I just keep having my eyes tested and getting new glasses if I have to. This one was an experiment with feathers, with feather type things and hair on texturing, because we just wanted to experiment a bit with creating more interesting textures and a bit of patching and more metallic paints, different themes. So this one worked out really nice. It's very tactile, and very interesting. So yeah, experimenting. We keep trying to come up with a few new things. This one also a favorite. We've putting more details on the hats to do that, but also working on the metallic paints more and details with the hair and the beards. So as you can see there, these little grooves are made with a V-gouge, which is a chisel, whereas the rest of him is made with the whittling knives. There we go, and then putting in shading around the edges just to make a bit more dimension to the faces and shading, and make it a little bit more appealing than just a flat painting. Let's see what else is in this one. This was also an experiment. No hair, baldy, and more of the flat planing type whittling, because I like the look of the tooling marks. You can see the way that the craftsman's hands have been putting in his knife to cut the shapes, and I just painted in on this one the strands of the hair, just hinted at it, and put lots of shading in the recesses, and put a little bit of detail for beads woven into the hair and beard there. So he's a baldy, and he has a little point at the bottom of his beard, a curled up point. So he's characterful, and he's looking to a different direction. So that's also interesting. I'm trying to make the eyes look in different directions. I don't know if on this camera you can see it. It's not very good. But I try to put in as much detail on the eyes as possible. Let's see this one. It's not easy to see on this camera, but there you go. Try to, just a hint at giving it, you know, just that little white dot gives eyes a little bit more of a live feel, like it's not just an animated thing. It gives a piece life, the dot in the eye. So there you go. That is what I've been doing this week with them. Also, this one was made last year, but I didn't get around to painting him. I couldn't quite decide. Let's take it. His staff comes out of his hand, but I'm going to take that out now. And he has a little sack on his shoulder, so this is going to be a Santa. And he's got little details on his hood, and there's his fur top coat with lots of other little bejeweled kind of decorations on him, and a copper coloured sash, and his mittens. There's tiny details painted on the tip of his staff. Don't know if you can see them, but yeah. And his eyes and his beard, shading pretty everywhere. He needs some nice, good quality felt on the bottom to make it smoother and less damaging to work surfaces, or, you know, anything somebody would want to stand it on. So this is a Santa with a different colour. As you know, the whittler didn't quite like the blue. He doesn't like the blue, but I said, just you wait. The copper and everything else will set it off nicely, and I think it does. A lot of people love the blue. People do tend to be drawn to the blue, and I think I'm a blue person. One day I'll take you around this house and you can see every little nook of this house has something blue, even in this corner. That blue toy needing to be fixed that the whittler made many years ago. That blue little dancing flower. There's blue candle holders there. I mean, even the curtains are a slate grey blue colour. Even my paint brushes are blue. I seem to be drawn to blue. Even my hay fever stuff has blue. The shirt I am wearing is a bluey green colour. See, there's blue there in the corner on my pencil bag. Everywhere you look in this house, there are little dashes and splashes of blue. So I think I'm a very blue person, and it's not done by design. It's just how it worked out. Don't ask me how. I noticed it about a couple of months ago thinking, I think I'm a blue person because there seems to be blue everywhere, no matter what, even when I'm not in the house. It's weird. But yes, so there again, blue hat, more blue hats up there. I think I have a problem with blue. I'll have to work on that because not everybody likes blue. So yes, so I'd like to do quite a few more of these Santas. I'd like to do taller ones though. And I was talking with the whittler thinking we need to do a collectibles range every year, specific theme, and do only so many, because really this one is way more than 4 hours work. In whittling it takes 4 times longer than them to make because there's more detail and the size of it is far more painful to do. Actually, you'd think that the small items would be more painful to whittle, but actually it's the bigger ones that are more painful on the hands. And I shall join in with him. I would like to whittle some of the you know, Mrs. Clauses and some fairies, Christmas fairies and angels and things. I would like to do that, the feminine faces. I like to do that, but he has a talent for the old guy faces. So I think we need to do some collectibles because I really like to experiment more with more detail on these things, and they could take anything up to, I mean, painting this one alone took 4 hours. So what's our minimum wage? It was 2 hours minimum, 2 to 3 hours to whittle and 4 hours to paint, and that on minimum wage, let alone the materials and things. That's quite a fair bit really, and the amount of work that goes into it, especially with all those details and the painting and the mixing of the paints, and the sourcing of everything as well. I think that these would make lovely collectibles. They're not your general everyday things that we can make a lot of that people will buy, because they would be fairly dear. They're worth more money because of what goes into them, but we also need to do the smaller things like that are more sellable because they're cheaper. In even those though, I mean, the whittler could possibly do 2 of them in an hour, but it would still take me a minimum of an hour to an hour and a half to paint each one. So that's still a 3 hours work. And what are we selling them for? Wow, it's only once a year really with a Christmas fair, so it's pennies that we made. We're not actually making anything. And I wanted to sell something so I could buy some more equipment for him, so we could do some other things that would be less painful on the hands. But yeah, we'll see how we go anyway. But that's this week's work on the crafts. This was last month, this little character, and yes, this was last month. But he needs finishing still. He needs a bit of felt on it and some annotations and some little note to go with him to explain about him. And maybe we need to name them as well, give them names and stories. That would make them more individual and more characterful. Kind of give them a life. There you go. So that's just what we've been doing, and I'll post this a bit later today when I get a chance, and I'll speak to you again soon. Have a lovely day, whatever you... Ooh! And off you go flying. I've dropped my phone. Sorry. Just to catch you wake up before I finish, in case you're falling asleep there. Speak to you soon. Bye.